Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell, along with my co-host Glenn Martin, and we are here to preview the Baltimore Ravens Week 3 matchup against the Dallas Cowboys. Excited to talk about this one. Excited for the Ravens' hopeful turning of the tables, getting in the win column. We're here to talk about if it's possible, how the Ravens get it done, if so, what the key matchups are, health, and everything else. But before we do, Glenn's going to let us know how this show is made possible by our great partner and sponsor, BetOnline. Glenn, what do we got going on this week?
Yes, BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on while the games are being played. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200,000. When the games are over, head on over to the online casino and get in a hand of blackjack, some poker, or unwind with over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Bet online, the game starts here.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. I'm excited about this game, Glenn. I know a lot of people are excited about this one and a bit nervous about it. But I've been doing a lot of reading about these 0-2 teams, and people seem to still have a lot of faith in the Ravens. How are you feeling right now? We didn't get to talk in the last show. We've had time since the last game ended. So before we kind of get into injury and health and stuff like that, how are you feeling today? We've had some space from the last game. Moving forward, what are your feelings towards the Baltimore Ravens right now?
Yeah,
and just your overall optimism towards the season.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think it's fair to say this is a must-win game, Jimbo. I don't know the odds of 0-3 teams making the playoffs, but I know that right now the only team with worse odds to make the playoffs is the Rams than the Ravens. Even the Panthers have better odds, for crying out loud. So I think it's fair to call this a must-win. I think B. Fowler says desperation. Yeah, maybe. It might be. Now, the fortunate thing is I don't think the North is that strong. So that's what's giving me a bit more optimism that maybe must is too strong a word, because if we do lose, I don't think it's impossible we could bounce back. But the morale in the team, fingers starting to be pointed. We've already started to see, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Zay Flowers liked something on social media that was critical of the team's offense. So, look, when you're losing, all this stuff starts to come out. So I just think it's critical for a lot of reasons. And look, the only bad part is, Jimbo, is that the Cowboys are nearly just as desperate as we are.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point. It's definitely a must win. The thing I'll say is that if you are going to, we talked about BetOnline, if you're going to take some odds right now, I think the odds look pretty good for the Ravens still making the playoffs in comparison to the other 0-2 teams. And so, dude, it could be a fun thing. I say somebody maybe take a bet, put a couple dollars down. I think, like you said, the Ravens still have a path forward. Obviously, it's one game at a time, and we absolutely desperately need this win because 0-3 gets much different even than 0-2. Mm-hmm. But let's get right into it, Glenn. Of course, when this matchup, we generally start with health and otherwise. So, but actually, I got to ask you one more question.
Okay.
Because like I said, we heard Coach's opinion on this. I know it's a little late, but we got to get your opinion. Coach talked about why Ben Cleveland isn't playing. And you didn't get an opportunity to express on the show how you felt about his response. So I want to allow you to do so now. Talk to me about how you felt. I said on the show, I about fell over when I heard him say that, and it was a completely different answer and then in the way he normally answers. But how did you feel about that? How did you feel about his response?
Yeah, I was surprised by his response because I guess it led to more questions than it really did answer any of the questions we've been having. We talked about how the job was virtually given to Falele, and that in the preseason and training camp, we didn't see much of a competition. And the head scratching part is there's no one in the league who's more open to timeshares or competition on the offensive line than the Ravens. No team runs a timeshare at right tackle, and the Ravens have done it for a couple years now in a row. So the fact that he wasn't even willing to go to a timeshare, doesn't even want to see what Ben Cleveland could look like at right guard, was shocking. And he went on to say if Ben Cleveland would have beat the job or won the job, he would have the job. He didn't even have a chance to win the job, John. He got 0 reps. And it's not like this isn't a player that doesn't have film, Jimbo. This guy's played in NFL games at right guard and played well. We don't have to look far back. It's not like we have to look 10 years back. We have to look at the end of last season. So it's like mind blowing. And people go, well, because I even think Brad mentioned like we would at least be 1-1 if that's the case. And I get that's like such a big statement, but haven't the margins been this small? Like we lost to the Raiders in a bit of a fluky fashion, right? Like the margin is this small. So you don't think Ben could have made up possibly that small of a margin? Like I find it hard to believe that this team wouldn't be better off with Ben Cleveland and the almost like it seemed personal, man. It's just I don't understand it. I may never get it. I think that Ben's response was awesome. I think he was asked about it and he talked about it's his job to stay ready when his number is called. He feels he's been the most consistent throughout this training camp and early part of the season than he has in his career. But yeah, man, I don't get it, dude. I don't get it. And I hate to say it because we're John Harbaugh guys. Like we would defend him against unfair criticism for years, but this criticism is fair. And I think he could end up, really hurting this team with this decision, Jimbo. Oh, you're muted. You're muted there, Jimbo.
See, I'm trying to stop the dog. I'm trying to keep the dog's noise from coming in the show, and I'm muting myself instead. No, I agree with all your points, Glenn. This is my very last question before we get into it because I think it's important as well. Where are you at with John's job, and where do you think the Ravens are at with John's job?
Man, I think the seat is starting to warm up. I got to admit, I think the seat's starting to warm up because at the end of the day, you can blame different parts of the team. You can certainly blame Monken. You can question whether Zach Orr is ready for this job. You can certainly question if Eric DeCosta provided the ingredients that John needs. But at the end of the day, John not like it, the perspective of the fans is he's not playing the best guys, and that is. If that is the feeling of the ownership, then I can imagine his seat is definitely on fire right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's a new situation that we're in. It's uncharted territory because I know that other people have wanted John to be fired in the past. I've never thought that that's real or an actual possibility, but I'm starting to turn the table on that right now, and it's a weird thing. It's an unknown thing. I mean, John's been here 18 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And everything runs its course. I mean, if Bill Belichick can lose his job, anybody can lose their job. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this thing plays out. All right, let's get into this game then. Let's turn the page and talk about it. I'm glad. I wanted to give you the opportunity to get that off your chest.
Well, I guess the whole question is, are we going to see anything different this week? I don't think so.
Yeah.
But and everybody goes Ben Cleveland, but I don't think we give enough credit to the fact that it could be McCary might be better at right guard. At least try that. Let's see a full game of Roger Rosengarten at right tackle. Let him dance out there with Micah Parsons, and if need be, let's kick McCary inside. I don't understand, but I hope to see some type of change. I mean, if not, it's just stubborn by John.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's the more likely scenario. We kind of kicked that around yesterday, and I think that's a good point. I think the more likely one for sure is McCary swinging inside, and then Rosengarten, who showed some progress, ends up playing, having a bigger role on the outside. Rave Kingdom says Ben Exposed joined today. I'm sure
John.
Y'all talk. Oh, what? Ben Exposed John today. I'm sure y'all talk about it. What did he do today?
Oh, just his answer to the question. He answered, let me see. I can read you the quote. He said, there weren't a whole lot of right guard reps taken by me during camp just because of injury and all the above. Just staying ready for when my number gets called to go in and play. I feel like I've been my most consistent and most proactive throughout camp. It's been a struggle having to move around positions with injuries and stuff like that. But as far as adapting to other positions and just playing where I'm asked, I feel like I've been extremely consistent and competitive. Yeah, a guy who's played center, right guard, left guard, and right tackle. I just don't see how he's like lazy. Like, how can you be efficient and if average at all those positions and be a lazy practice player?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the kid's got, because this is worse than Bryant McKinney, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Because Bryant McKinney's was that he was a fat slob.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? He was, and I understand why John gets, rightfully so. It's your profession. Your body's your profession. Like, just same thing. Remember Michael Pierce came in one year, I think it was 390.
He failed the conditioning test. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were worried about him from a cardiac perspective, which I totally get.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, John has a right to be pissed about that. This is your job and you get highly paid to do it. Make sure your body's in shape. But this seems different than that. Obviously, Ben Cleveland is an absolute animal and is the only offensive lineman whose belly doesn't stick out further than his chest pads.
Right.
So it's certainly not that. So anyway, yeah, it's just really interesting, and we'll see what happens. I'm going to call it here, Glenn. You heard it here first. I think that Ben Cleveland gets in on a rotational basis. I think there'll be some sort of rotating.
So. Because then we'll really see it.
Yeah.
Like it'll be pretty, I think, a pretty glaring difference there. But let's get into the injury report where we always start to see what it's looking like on both sides of the ball here. I've got it up on the screen here so you guys can follow. Let me see if I can zoom in here. Let me see if I can flex my skills.
Oh, there we go.
Bada bing, bada boom, as they say. All right, so for the Ravens, just Saleh wasn't able to practice today. So Jalen Harbaugh,
right?
Yeah, exactly, because he's not even going to be active. I'd be shocked if he was even active for game day. So really, really good report. After a little bit of alarm yesterday, seeing Jalen Armour-Davis, Kyle Hamilton, seeing Ronnie Stanley, Kyle Van Noy, and even Nate Wiggins continuing to be out after the car accident. All those guys back today. And Nate Wiggins, look, he's got the red jersey on, the non-contact jersey. So I guess my question to you, Jimbo, what do you think the likelihood is that we see Nate Wiggins this Sunday? Didn't practice yesterday, limited today with the red non-contact after missing last week. What do you think?
I think they wait another week.
Yeah.
That's kind of what
even with CD and really a desperation kind of game here.
That's a good point, but yeah, I think they do wait a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think it ends up being. But like you said, good injury report here. Things are moving in the right direction.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's see the Cowboys side of things.
Much longer list.
Much longer list. Holy smokes. Brandon Cooks, limited in practice, full today. Just a veteran day. I don't see any issues with him playing. The only one I see as an issue is Mazzie Smith, the defensive tackle, did not participate either days so far this week in practice. Everyone else who missed yesterday at least performed in limited fashion today. So really a good report for them as well. I think they feel good about this with DeMarcus Lawrence getting a veteran day yesterday, as well as Zach Martin back at practice in full capacity. So we're going to see both these teams really at kind of full strength right now.
What do you know about the ankle with CeeDee Lamb? Is it a real thing?
I don't think it's that big of a deal. He had a 7-yard touchdown last week where he was able to kind of slip between two tacklers and take it to the house. Nah, I think he's just fine. That dude is, if not the best receiver, he's fighting Justin Jefferson and Tyreek Hill for the job.
Yeah, you're not kidding, man. That kid has really taken a leap forward, hasn't he?
True, and he got paid like it. Good for him, man.
Yeah, to me, he'll always be the guy that ripped the phone out of his girlfriend's hand.
Did that happen? I don't even remember.
Remember during the draft?
Oh, yeah, I do. She tried to grab one of his phones.
And he's like, nope.
No, sir.
Yeah, no. But, yeah, you're right. Both relatively healthy teams. Of course, the Ravens on the road down in Jerry World. All right, let's get into it, Glenn. Let's talk about our you know what? Jeez Whiz. I always forget I'm supposed to do this. Let's talk about our Baltimore Ravens offense.
Well, hold on now. Hold on. Before we do that,
Did I skip something?
Yeah, we want to introduce a little bit of a new segment here.
Oh, yes, we do. I'm excited about this.
A little bit of a new segment. We're gonna pull up BetOnline, who again is our awesome sponsor, to kind of give you an idea of what the gambling world thinks of this game. Because if anybody has gambled, you will know that these dudes, they ain't off by much. I mean, it always will blow your mind especially when you go to like college ranks, you see these huge spreads, and somehow they're off by like a point. So these guys know their stuff. So let's see. Right now, the current spread, Ravens are favored by 1 point on the road at Dallas, despite the fact that the home team typically gets 3 points. The over-under right now for the game is set at 48 points. So expect relatively high scoring, despite the fact that these have two top 10 defenses, in my opinion. Of course, last week it didn't look like it for really either team, but two talented defenses nonetheless. Looks like for each individual team, over under in points is 23.5. Let me see here. got some pretty interesting first score of the game bets. You could, I don't know how we've looked in the first score, but you got a lot of prop bets here. We got the margin of victories, lots of things you could certainly gamble on.
Mm-hmm.
Man, longest field goal. I tell you what, Jimbo, I think I'm taking Aubrey. I think I'm taking their kicker over ours in the longest field goal category. I hate to say it. Who would have ever thought we'd be there?
Now we are in a dome.
Right.
Right. Well, I guess Jerry's got an open. He has like it can be open or a dome,
I think
right?
he can open it because he said he wants to let God watch his favorite team play. I think that was his line, which is just brilliant.
Yeah, I thought it was to make sure he can get his helicopter in.
That could be it too.
I've told you this before, right? He takes his helicopter to high school games.
Does he?
Yeah.
Well, shoot. I mean, I think I would too if I had a helicopter.
He takes his helicopter to high school games and just parks right outside.
Parks right at the 50.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Lands just right on the field. Like everybody stop for Jerry Jones.
But it's a tight game according to the odds makers,
That's
Jimbo.
crazy. It's an absolute tight game. And it's crazier that, I mean, not crazy, but it's pretty amazing the Ravens are the favorites.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. On the road. Going all the way from Maryland to Texas. That's pretty big travel. I mean, you'd know it, Jimbo.
Yeah, it's much longer than one would think. I mean, as far as being on the plane and things, it's not a trip down to Florida. You know what I mean? It's a hike.
How's the drive?
I've never driven to I guess I have.
What?
I've driven, obviously. Well, you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. So I've gone through. Yeah, no, it's not fun.
No.
No, I will say, though, that's the more fun part of the drive. If you're driving across the country, Maryland to Texas is much more entertaining than Texas to California, because then after that, it's just desert and you hope your car doesn't overheat in the middle of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
That's all it really is. But yeah, so no, you're absolutely right. On the road, I mean, this is a tough matchup for the Ravens to be 0-2 and to be seen as the favorites by the odds makers, by the bettors, right? Like these, like you said, these guys are dialed in. That's impressive stuff.
No doubt. So let's hope that they're right. Yeah, I'll take a 1-point win. I'm fine with that.
Any way I can get it, dude. I'll take any win. Half-point win. That's possible. But I'll take it.
That's it. All right, let's talk about this. What is it? Ravens offense versus Cowboys defense?
Yeah, Glenn. I promised this last week I'll do this to you. Do you have the Ravens offense in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Cool. This I do know. The Ravens are still leading the. I'll have to find a cool.
Oh gosh. I think people are coming home at.
Yeah, I'm gonna look something up that I thought was really cool, and I'm gonna let you summarize the Ravens offense really quick.
Yeah, you handle that. But I do remember they used to come out with these little stats, what were they called? Used to find them in some website. They were just interesting little tidbits of the game. But as far as the Ravens
on
go,
NFL.com, they don't have it anymore.
We just can't have nice things,
Nope.
Thanks, NFL.com, for ruining our show. Let's look at the Ravens' current stats, rankings, where they stack up against the league, and then we'll certainly pull up the Cowboys next. So the Ravens offensively and defensively should be popping up now. There it goes. All right, we'll focus on the offensive side of things. Right now, 14th, middle of the pack when it comes to offense, averaging 21.5 yards per game. But first in yards per game at 417.5. Todd Monken talked about those two numbers have to match. Clearly do not match. Can't be first in yards and middle of the pack in points. Or like Jimmy says, those are empty calories. Those are wasted yards. A team doesn't give a... You see that? Wasted calories right there. That's all it is. That's it. Empty. And look, teams don't give a damn if you're moving the ball between the 20s. What really matters is red zone. And as you can see here, red zone scoring offense, as far as scoring a touchdown when you get inside the 20, 18th in the league, scoring just 42.8% of the time. And got to get better on third down, Jimbo. 13th, 40% on third down. I can't believe it that we're not better in that category. It just blows my mind.
It's a weird thing because I feel like the problem with us on third down is we all know the phrase, like, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like let's just keep it simple. I don't know. I feel like every third, fourth down play where we need a big conversion, it's always something dumb or overthought.
Yes.
Let's just keep it simple. Like,
exactly.
Come on, man. This is barbecue chicken time for Lamar Jackson, right? Like,
should be. Used to be. I don't know what the hell's happened with our third down production, but it's certainly got to get righted here. Now, rushing yards, no surprise here. We're one of the tops in the league, 7th overall in yards per game at 168, 11th in rushes total per game with 29.5 on average. But I want to see it more like we saw last week as far as keep the Lamar rushes down as far as total, and let's let that chunk plays start to add up. So his average should be high, but his total number of rushes, I think, should be low. And then passing yards per game, 4th at 249.5. Right now, it's still doing a great job. Sack percentage, only sacked on 3.8% of dropbacks. I mean, Lamar Jackson, holy smokes, is that guy good?
Yeah, no kidding. And speaking of which, Glenn, I'm going to remove this really quickly, and I'm going to pull this up.
Please.
This is what I wanted to show. You can see this okay?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so, talking about the offense, specifically Lamar Jackson, I think this is telling, and I think this is part of the reason why the bettors, those that make a living off of setting lines and otherwise, are still marking the Ravens as a favorite and still have high hopes for them. And this is why I think that it would be fun right now to take the odds on the Ravens to make the playoffs at 0-2, because you have a guy like Lamar Jackson. All the things that we've been talking about, the sky's falling, this, that, and the other, offensive line struggling. Lamar Jackson obviously still number 1 in total yards, still number 1 in rushing yards, top 5 in passing yards, or passing first downs, top 5 in passing yards as well, tied for 5th in passing yards per game. Or did you say 4th? I think it is I think you just showed. And then 5th in completions, and then 9 in what is this, net yards per attempt. So Lamar Jackson just, he always does this. He racks up things on the stat sheet, but Lamar's playing good football. I think that's fair to say. I'm not saying he's playing perfect football, and I do think John was being a little bit of a suck up because Lamar might have more power than him right now in the franchise. But Lamar is playing good football, right? Like, that would be a huge concern. If we're 0-2 and Lamar is playing like garbage, that would be really scary. But I think there's still hope that if we can just right the ship up front and figure things out, then we'll be all right. You know what we need, Glenn? We need Lamar Jackson to come down on the offensive line like Tom Brady used to. Remember those days?
He's gotten pretty demonstrative at times,
He has. Remember what Tom would just rip into him.
They'll dress you down, bro.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. I mean, it would be so hard for me as an offensive lineman not just take my bear paw and just like
Hey, Peyton was the same way.
Yeah.
Peyton will let you know. You see when him and I love when he was mic'd up, him and Jeff Saturday going at it. He's like, just block, Jeff, and snap the ball. And Jeff's over there like, we should run it. It's like, shut up, Jeff. Yeah. Snap the ball and block, man.
Dude, did you see him and Eli on that Monday night game?
Which
in
one?
That last drive, the Eagles,
when Saquon dropped the ball and
no, I'm just talking about that last drive when Kirk when Kirk ran the 2-minute drill, and Peyton, funny, the camera, you could tell he's up and he's all over the room and he's super demonstrative and passionate. That guy needs to be doing something more than commentating.
Yeah, well, he's getting paid pretty handsomely and doesn't have to worry about ever being a loser. Right?
I know, man. But gosh,
you can't lose when you're on TV.
For the sake of football, we need Peyton Manning in with a headset on.
Oh, I think you're right, 100% for the sake of football. But I can't imagine why Peyton would give up the gig he has now to risk the fact of all the stress, the hours, the headache. But I would love it. I'd be hyped, dude. I want to see Tom Brady and Peyton Manning coaching against one another. That's what I want to see.
That would be cool. That's really cool. But to my point, I just wanted to, reiterate or just kind of reinforce your statistics and saying that, like, things aren't perfect. There's a lot of things that we need to correct. Just like you said, I think third down to the big one. Red zone is the big one. But I don't think it's a broken, like, it's a bad foundation, if you will. I think there's some things that need to be fixed, but I don't think it's unable to be.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not saying to elite level. Like, I don't know if our offensive line is going to be a top 5 offensive line, but a serviceable unit for the surrounding talent.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Just don't blow the game up for us.
Right.
But also help those guys, as an offensive play caller. We got to be better, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. I just want to quickly touch on, because we talked about the Ravens offensively, defensively for Dallas.
Yeah.
Now, remember, this is 2 games, and they got their doors blown off last week and gave up, 49 points at home against New Orleans. But They're 30th in points, Jimbo. They're giving up 30.5 points per game. They are on third down. They're 10th. They're top 10. 30% is how often the opposing offenses convert on third down. Red zone scoring, Jimbo. This could help the Ravens. They are dead last. Dead last. They give up. Opposing offenses score 85.7% of the times that they enter the red zone. Like, they are
scoring for us.
At will. Yeah, absolutely at will. And you talk about good news for us. We're going to get into some of what we saw last week here in a sec, but they give up 141.5 rushing yards per game. That's 20th in the league. Passing yards per game, they're 16th, 189. The one thing I did see down here, Jimbo, which hurt my feelings, they haven't missed a field goal yet, Jimbo. We still did. We missed one.
Are you really concerned about just cheese whiz Justin Tucker?
Well, I'm concerned that he's not. I'm not concerned to some degree. But what I'm concerned is that he's not Justin Tucker anymore. In that 60 and in was guaranteed. 60 and in was don't even think about it. And he's not that anymore. So he's a victim of his own success because he's still a very good kicker. I think his average miss for his career is like 53 yards. That's his average. So he's still a very, very good kicker. My point is he's Matt Stover. He's turning into Matt Stover. He's not there yet. He's still got a longer leg than what we saw, especially as a fan, our age, where we saw kind of the tail end of Matt Stover's career for the most part. But he's just not what he used to be. He's not a guaranteed. Is he even the best kicker in football right now?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if he is. I don't know if he's better than Butker. I don't know if he's better than Aubrey right now, but he's still a very good kicker.
Wow, it's crazy to say that calling someone Matt Stover, but like a late Matt Stover is not a compliment.
Well, dude, we were watching. My cable was out. My cable and internet was out a couple days ago. That's why I missed the last show. The only thing we could watch was stuff that was saved to my DVR box because it was saved. I didn't have much saved to it, but what I did have was the Ravens' first Super Bowl. Had that whole thing recorded. It was a Super Bowl classic on NFL Network. So me and my son watched the Ravens' first Super Bowl. It was pretty awesome. Cam, first of all, got to see, dude, it was a different game in 2000. Every time they fall on someone, they're digging their elbow in. When they get up, they're pushing their face into the ground. Like, dude, Mulatalo, bro. Mulatalo had people furious, bro. I had the D lineman pushed him over, removed his helmet with his forearm. Like, he's pushing on his face, his bare face with his hand, and Mulatalo just gets up, like, ready for more, dude. I want more, and I'm coming back at you. It was the funniest thing, but I really started the story to tell you Matt Stover was about to kick one, right? And I'm like, he's like, who is this? I'm like, well, this was our GOAT before we got the GOAT. Matt Stover was a beast. He just didn't have the length and, the leg power. I said, but he never missed inside of 50. And, dude, I forgot. He blew a field goal right in that game, dude. Like, hooked it way left.
Man, I don't remember that either.
Hooked it way left, dude. Right after I'm going, he never missed inside of 50. Just hooks it. And we still blew their doors off. I'm still not over Dixon returning that kick. But, man, dude, first of all, I forgot. You forget these guys. Jermaine freaking Lewis, bro.
Dude, so good. Yeah. And such an inspired game. He's been one of my favorite Ravens. He was my favorite Raven all the way up to Gus Edwards for a long time. Dude, such an inspired dude.
Dude.
Like, his kid had just passed away and all that stuff. And yeah, that's wild, man. I was gonna say something about that. And now I've totally forgotten. Oh, dude, Mulatalo, first Baltimore Ravens signature I ever got.
That's a good one.
Yeah, man.
If you guys don't know about Edwin Mulatalo, look him up.
That's who we thought Falele was going to be.
Yes. Oh, man. Imagine having that guy back right now. Woo!
Yeah, and you know what the crazy part is, Glenn? I believe that the biggest difference is all between the ears.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, if you put them two next to each other, you go, Falele's better than him, right? He's massive.
He's probably bigger, faster, stronger. It probably has better feet, but it's just the tenacity, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he was dude. He was an animal, man. It was fun to watch. But yeah, let's get back into our game preview here. We talked about the statistics. Let's get into some more of the nitty gritty. Some players to watch. Man, it was a long list, Jimbo. They got names all over the defensive side of the ball, led by Micah Parsons, their stud pass rusher, who came out of Penn State as a teammate of Odafe Oweh, that trained together. And man, that guy he's one of the very best at the edge in the league. DeMarcus Lawrence, one of the best interior defenders in the league. He's a monster. Trayvon Diggs is a corner, ball hawk. I mean, do it all. There's really nothing he can't do. Eric Kendricks, their linebacker right now, leading the way for them. I mean, this guy is leading their team in tackles. And on top of that, he's leading their team in sacks. And on top of that, the dude's got an interception already with an 8-yard return. I mean, the guy has been absolutely everywhere. And not to be outdone, Malik Hooker's a pretty damn good back as well, and can certainly make plays on the back end of that defense. So, man, they got names, Jimbo, on defense.
They absolutely got names. You are not kidding. And that's one of the things that has me nervous about this game, just in general, right? Like, they got game breakers. They got game wreckers. The Ravens haven't handled those guys well. Chris Jones has not been handled well. He has not been mitigated. I'm not saying that you stop these guys, but you find ways to mitigate them. Same thing. Max Crosby, we just fell into his trap over and over and over again, right? Like,
we walked into his trap.
Yeah, happily. That's all. Right, exactly. I mean, I think that Odafe, I was about to say Falele is still trying to grasp him to this day. Right now, he's like still got his hand out trying to stop him. Man, it's painful to go back and watch that play where Lamar gets absolutely destroyed. Just grateful that he gets up, right? Because that could have been really bad. The way that he landed, everything else, that could have been bad. But they got game wreckers over there, man. And it's a defense that is highly respected. Like you said, they put up 49 points. But all that means is that they're going to be super pissed. I mean, based on the averages, they're not going to do the same against us unless they're absolutely garbage. But I think they had a little more pride than that.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to find out this weekend. We're going to see what team. I mean, you hate to say it because it's kind of a cliche term, but what team wants to be good more? Because either team loses this game, it's a big loss. The Cowboys can't afford, after getting blown out at home against the Packers in last year's playoffs to end their season. They opened Jerry World this year by absolutely being embarrassed. I'm going to throw this up here just to kind of give an idea, because I think it does lend some, maybe at least a little peek into what the Ravens might be looking at to attack when it comes to this Cowboys defense, because it's like they got names, but
right.
And they got a great DC, Mike Zimmer. I mean, he's a longtime head coach in this league. He's a heck of a defensive coordinator. But, dude, they got absolutely worked. Derek Carr, they only threw the ball 16 times, Jimbo, yet he threw for 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, and they ran it 39 times. And this isn't a scenario where they have a running quarterback. No, Derek Carr had 1 carry for 1 yard. It was a QB sneak for a touchdown. That was it. The rest is Alvin Kamara, Jamal Williams, Taysom Hill, Rashid Shaheed catching some jet sweeps, Chris Olave doing the same. I mean, they were running the ball all over them. 39 carries, 190 yards, Jimbo. Like, absolutely putting on a rush game clinic. I hope we see some of this stuff. They averaged 4.9 yards a carry as a team, and that included 3 kneel downs and a 1-yard QB sneak. If you take those away, they're well over 5. They're pushing 6 yards per carry. And then look at this, Jimbo. 11 total receptions, guys. 11 for the team. God. And they dropped 44 yards. This is how you know what they did? Damn near every throw was play action. They absolutely worked the Cowboys, running the ball and play action passing, picking up chunk plays off of that run game. Please, for the love of God, run the ball and play action pass off of it. Please.
Well, this is what's got me worried, Glenn, because I am wholeheartedly convinced Monken will outthink this.
Oh, my God. Here's what we're going to do. Not run it.
Right. That's what we're going to do. We're not going to run it, and we're not going to play action pass. That was one of the most infuriating moments of my week, was listening to John justify away the reasons that they didn't utilize the play action more in this last game. It's unexcusable. It's unjustifiable. It just is.
Yeah. No, it is. I just can't. I can't sit through a whole nother game where we see it happen again. I'm gonna lose my mind.
No, Cakes, don't do this to me.
Dude, you got a strong lower half, Jimbo.
It's true. It's true. But I would have no chance. I mean, could you imagine what these guys would do to me?
It wouldn't be good.
No.
It would not be good. Yeah, zero chance. But you might try, like, cut them, dude. Just
that's what I'm saying. That's
low.
all it would be. Right.
Bro.
I would just act as a fire hydrant, right? Just like a person walking down the street. Look, you can be bothered by a fire hydrant. That's about all I can do.
Yeah. Now, look, Baltimore football history says it best. I'm going to throw this up here, actually, now because sorry about that. This is the best team in football right now, ladies and gentlemen. The Saints destroyed both their first 2 week opponents. They make it look easy. They're the best team on offense and on defense, and they pass the ball 37% of the time. So maybe here's what we're seeing. I don't know if you saw, Mel Kiper made a massive rant on Get Up talking about the too high safety defense and how it's destroying the deep passing game in the NFL. He said it should be banned. They should limit how far back safeties can line up from the line of scrimmage. Or you can learn to run the ball and force them to not put their safeties too back and put them 30 yards off the line of scrimmage. Force them to bring safeties down in the box to support the run. And it would open up the deep passing game. So they better not, Jimbo, do something stupid. Like change the freaking rules on defense just to help the offense even more, when instead the offense could just simply do what the Saints are doing and a lot of the good teams in the league are doing. They're running the freaking ball and they're play action passing off of it and getting massive efficiency numbers, like crazy efficient offense, dude. Crazy.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. It's not something that the defense needs to fix. They've already got enough disadvantages, right? Like why do we need to give them more advantages? I mean, yeah, that's just absolutely ridiculous. So I couldn't agree with you more. Oreo Cookie says, if we start 0-3, would you rather us tank, buy Harbs?
Heck no. Do you want to sit through a whole tanking season? You want to watch that crap? No, that's not the Ravens, dude. They're not the tank team. I hate to say it.
But if we miss the playoffs, John's got to be out.
Oh, for sure.
John's got to be out, and Eric's got to be warned. Because
to
Eric
not take a risk with Jimbo, I think you mentioned it. Was it off? I think it was off air. They made a risk with the one position group that under Lamar Jackson. Like, talk about that, Jimbo. I mean,
yeah. It's so crazy to me how like other quarterbacks need so much more than Lamar Jackson in the way of weapons. Lamar Jackson was an MVP with essentially no one except for an elite offensive line. So with Lamar Jackson, an offensive line, and a ragtag crew of replacement players, you're guaranteed 10 wins, barring Lamar's health, and most likely a playoff spot. So why wouldn't you start there? And we're in the rare position where we actually have weapons on the outside and we can take draft capital and over-invest in the offensive line. So do it. I just don't understand the logic here. No knock on Tez Walker, but I would have loved to have a guard there. No knock on TJ Tampa. Would have loved to have another guard there. And so we took one guy, Glenn, instead of taking 4, 3, 4, whatever, how many swings at, how many at-bats you need knowing that it's the draft. But yeah, it's just a weird thing to me because Lamar is so impactful as a player, just like every quarterback, but so much more when he just has a line. He could be throwing to no one.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know what I mean? It's just amazing to me. Like, I don't know if half the people in our chat who are diehard Ravens fans could mention the receivers outside of Mark Andrews, who's a pass catcher, not necessarily a receiver, and Hollywood Brown in that 2019 season.
Nah, bunch of nobodies. Bunch of
guys. And he led the league in touchdowns under Greg Roman.
From the pocket, too, by the way.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's crazy to me, dude. Why? Like, who thought this was a good idea?
And if you really think that version of Lamar Jackson is better than the one we have right now, you're out of your mind.
Right.
Imagine him in that same configuration offense. Like, come on. He's way better than he was then. Like, way
much better. He's a better thrower of the football. He's a better decision maker. He sees the field so much better. Yeah.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, so like that's the thing. Sorry, really quick. That's the thing, Glenn. Like, is it all scheme or is it the fact that Eric simply He took a risk at the highest risk position, and it's not working out. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's all scheme.
It's a combination.
I'm right, but I don't know if it's all scheme either. I know there's things obviously we can improve upon, but certainly we need the horses.
Yeah, you got to. It's definitely both. I think the coaching staff could be doing a better job, but first of all, playing their best guys. Second of all, scheming up to take pressure off Lamar Jackson. The first 2 weeks, Jimbo, it seems like if Lamar Jackson's not doing something crazy, we're not moving the ball. Like, that's got to stop. Yeah. We got to take pressure off our quarterback. I know he's the franchise guy, and you paid him all this money, but you cannot make it to where, all right, if Lamar isn't doing something crazy, we just ain't moving it. Like, that's
think about this, Glenn. Think about the drastic difference between how much Lamar has to do now when he, on paper, has much more weapons, right, than he did in 19, in comparison to drives in 2019 where he threw the ball once.
Or none.
And we get 7. So in theory, he had to do less. And obviously we were playing much better than in comparison to now, where he just has more weapons. But the problem, once again, is the O-line. Can we just call Marshall Yanda and tell him to eat some cookies and gallons of milk and just get back on the field?
Yeah, you better start eating now because your boy lost a couple of LBs.
Dude, I think that right now, Marshall Yanda still gets it done.
I could at least see him at fullback. At his size, he'd probably be a great fullback, dude.
Patrick Ricard might be our best right guard right now.
Dude, that's crazy to even think about. But we saw a little bit of that a couple off seasons ago. It didn't last long.
Yeah, no, for sure. Ben Cleveland is together. But anyway, that's enough of my rant. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's just wild. Mossy says, for the first time, I want the team to lose. 0-3 means season over, and Harbs would be on the hot seat. Can you do a poll to gauge how many more want the same?
There we go, okay. DK. Next poll. After DK, we got some heat on the last poll. We didn't have Harbs as an option, and people were furious that we didn't have Harbs up there. So now we got to put a new poll up, and the poll is, what is it? If the team loses,
or basically how many losses? I think he's trying to figure out how many losses do they want the Ravens to take, right? Like, if they lose, how many more after that?
I got confidence that DK can figure out a way to word this poll. I think he's got it. But man, that's crazy that we're already there. Like, holy shit.
Dude, it's freaking September, bro. This is not
Game
normal.
3 against the Cowboys team is not in our conference.
Yeah, that's wild. Shout out to Don C for gifting the membership. Shout out to you. Got me?
Yeah. My internet's. I'd love to see how it's fixed, and it's not.
Yeah, you're a little pixelated right now, but that's okay. That's all right. It's all about the voice, dude. All about the voice. Gifted 5 memberships. Shout out to Don C. Whoever is getting those memberships, enjoy them. DK put up his musings again this week. Make sure you guys check it out. He's adding more and more to it every time. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. And it's fun to see DK in a high energy mode. Like, high energy DK is fun to watch. And so, yeah, make sure you guys go check it out. He does a great job. So shout out to him. And you get to see some of our pre-show stuff too, which can get pretty hilarious in most cases.
I think so. I think Don C makes up a good point here, though, Jimbo. A couple Baconators get Yonda right back up to fight and wait.
Dude, let me tell you what. I'll mail him. I'll mail him to him right now. He can eat mine.
Yeah. Nah, that one's for you, Jimbo. During the whole show, you're going to have grease dripping down your face. It's going to be something. But let's talk about what this team can do to beat this this Cowboys defense. What can the Ravens offense do against them? To me, the biggest thing, I said it earlier, you got to take pressure off Lamar Jackson. The curious thing will be how do the Ravens handle the right side of their line? I feel very good of what we're seeing from Ronnie. Growing pains from Voorhees, but feel pretty good about where he's going and the direction he's headed. Obviously, Linderbaum's still doing his thing, still kind of working his way back as he dealt with the injury training camp. But the right side, big question mark. What's going to happen with Micah Parsons across the field? DeMarcus Lawrence going to be lined up over our right guard? Are they going to be running stunts, twists, and confusing Daniel Faalele once again? Got to find a way to take pressure off of him. Look, I don't want to see another scenario where Zay Flowers is pissed off on social media. I don't want this to continue to grow. I saw he liked a comment. We don't need to see this anymore. That touchdown he had, Jimbo, was off a fake pitch. He was wide open. Wide open. Let's use our running backs and let's play action pass to pick up chunk plays down the field. It's really not that difficult, in my opinion. I think they can get it done. This defense, dude, the Saints absolutely ran through them. I want to see a heavy dose of Derrick Henry, a heavy dose of, look, Jimbo, are you okay with the fact that Justice Hill is still out snapping Derrick Henry? Are you okay with 2 weeks in a row?
No, I'm not. No. I mean, obviously, he's a little bit more versatile, but no, I'm not okay with it. Derrick Henry's a future Hall of Famer. Like, what else is there to say?
Yeah.
He needs to be on the field. That's just absolutely wild. Man, how nervous are you that we don't follow the blueprint of the Saints because Monken thinks he's the smartest guy in the room?
Oh, man. I hate to say it, but I'm starting to think that, yeah, I mean, they just don't want to take the easy way out. It seems like they want to try and do it their way and not the way that the blueprint way. I mean, I think we saw it last week. The Chargers ran all over the Raiders week 1. And yet, even when we had success in the second half, we got away from it willfully. Willfully got away from it for our final 4 drives. And it's just like, I don't understand it, Jimbo. Like, I really don't understand it. I would hope that this team would say, all right, enough's enough. Let's just do what we can do, what we can do best, which is run the ball, and let's not try this cute shit. That's what I'm hopeful for, but I don't know, man.
Well, let me ask you a question, because you brought it up and Coach brought it up in the last show. You talked about wanting to do it their way. Is part of what Coach's gripe with John Harbaugh is that he thinks that John wants it to look a certain way. And while he doesn't call the plays in game, and he's not going to meddle in game, he's going to make sure that the way that the game is played is going to be his way. So if it doesn't look like that, he's going to fix it, right? Because he thinks that the way it looks his way is the best way. So he thinks that he's maybe over meddling in the week and maybe not allowing for enough breathing room for his coordinators. And I think part of that could be the fact that he's been here for a long time. So like all this is his in his mind. And I get that. But do you think there's any validation to that? Like, not validation. Do you think there's any truth to that? Yeah, validity.
I think it could be. I think if your coach isn't in the rooms right now in an 0-2 team after a disappointing start, I think, wouldn't you want him in those rooms? Like, I want him in those rooms, but that means you share the lion's share of the blame when things aren't going well. So I don't have a problem with him being in the room. I might have a problem with his philosophy. I just don't get, what does he want it to look like? Like, right. That's the part, because I thought he was a run-first guy. I thought he was a blue-collar, physical, knock you off the ball, run the ball down your throat. Like, we're not seeing that anymore. So we're seeing cute shit. We're seeing fancy. We're seeing smoke and mirrors. We're hiding guys behind tackles to try and sneak them out in the flat. Like, we're doing crazy stuff. And so, I'm okay with a head coach wanting to establish his vision, because it's your job on the line, and it's his franchise, as far as, like, he's got the keys to this franchise. But I don't like his vision right now, Jimbo. I guess that's the problem I have. Not so much like, I don't mind him saying, hey, this is how I want it to look, and then you go designing around this, but I don't like his vision. Yeah,
no, that's fair. Okay, so I want to also just reiterate before, because of course we're going to switch to the other side of the ball, but you mentioned it, Glenn. Your key is really focused on the offensive line. Do you want to dig into that a little more before I give mine?
Well, I mean, it's really comprehensive. They have to take pressure off Lamar by opening running lanes for our running backs. And of course, they got to pass protect when Lamar decides to drop back. Now, some of that is on Monken and to help kind of build in those correct play calls that doesn't see Lamar Jackson holding the ball for 3 to 5 seconds. We need to get the ball to Lamar's hand a little bit quicker. But the big thing is opening up holes so we can stay ahead of the chains, stay in third and short or not third at all, and take pressure off Lamar Jackson. We cannot have 3rd and 9. If we got 3rd and 9 and longer, Jimbo, Micah Parsons is going to absolutely destroy the right side of our line. It's just, it's not going to be good.
Yeah, no, you're right. To that point, Glenn, and you kind of brought this up. My key to the game, if you will, or offensive matchup really is Derrick Henry, and I say specifically Derrick Henry, not the running backs. Derrick Henry versus the Cowboys front. Not that Justice Hill won't have an impact in this game. In fact, I'm going to talk about him later, but I think it needs to be Derek who can do things to, one, help our offensive line, to mitigate the effect of their defensive prowess, their defensive strength and being the guys up front. So my thing is that we need to be willing to keep giving Derek the ball, and he needs to continue to execute. Not that he hasn't in the past, but he just needs more opportunities because the way that you kill a pass rush is you run at him, and 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 you wear him out, and you get him tired. You get them huffing and puffing and hands on their hips. And so we need some of that. I mean, it's just, like you said, it's no tricks, it's no gimmicks. It's just football. But we need to play football, right? I don't know, a more articulate way to put it. That's just what it needs to be. So that's my matchup. I think that we can mitigate a lot of their defensive strengths if Derek can get going.
Yeah, run the ball at these guys. I mean, Christ, Alvin Kamara went absolutely nuts against them. I think it could derail him. Jimbo, I'm going to throw this up here now.
Yeah.
I see my signal is dipping, and it's probably because I'm trying to do too much. Hopefully you guys can still hear me okay. I'm going to throw this graphic up here. This has been plaguing the Ravens and apparently the entire AFC North all season. This is penalties right now. Leading the league in penalties is 3 AFC North teams. The Ravens come in at number 3. 18 penalties in 2 games. 173 penalty yards in 2 games. Christ, what are the Browns doing? Now, some of these penalties, in fact, I'll put the whole first game in question, were questionable at best. But 18 penalties, you got to find a way to eliminate that. They're killing our drives offensively before they even start. Anytime we got momentum going, boom, a 10-yard penalty, 1st and 20. Just totally kill our drive. Got to be better, guys.
Yeah, you're not kidding. I'm so glad that you brought that up because this is something that I was thinking about earlier today. I was thinking we have to be leading the league in penalties right now. Obviously we're not, but still top 3, like you said, not a place to be. Is there anything specifically you can attribute it to, Glenn, that you've seen?
Well, like I said, there's been some questionable calls when you talk about the Chiefs game, the alignment issues. But if you take those away, I mean, you can't have pre-snap penalties. Those are the ones that really kill me. I think the holding penalty on Linderbaum was kind of BS. And you don't like holding penalties because 10 yards is a killer. And the Ronnie hold was BS as well. But the big thing is the pre-snap penalties. You at least got to control that. Mark Andrews should never have a false start. He's watching the ball. Derrick Henry should never have a false start. He's watching. I don't even understand how that's possible. I get it if it's an offensive lineman here and there because at least they're going on a snap count. They may be misheard. Something happened. But the guys who are just watching the ball, what the hell are you doing? Just wait till the ball moves and move. It's literally that simple. So those are the ones that really drive me the most crazy, probably the pre-snap ones, because they just seem to get in the heads of our play caller, and then all of a sudden we just totally forget how we can move the ball.
Yeah, it's definitely a big concern. I mean, the one thing that's pretty drastic on this on that thing that you pulled up was the Browns were number 1 in the league in penalties, but I think that while we were number 3 in frequency, we were number 2 in total yards.
Yep, Broncos were 1st in yards. We're number 2. Yep.
Yeah, that's a problem, man. Oh, goodness gracious. Just a list we don't want to be on. But no. All right, well, let's hope for the better. I don't really know any other way to put it. Let's just hope for a better outcome there. But let's kind of switch the table. Let's turn the tables, as one Michael Scott attempts to say, and talk about the Ravens defense against this offense, because as prolific and as many names as the Cowboys have on defense, I think it's fair to say they have more names on offense.
Yeah, they do, man. They do.
I mean,
they got some names.
I just want to name a few here, and then Glenn will kind of give us a little bit of a deep dive. But obviously, you guys know the quarterback, Dak Prescott, in the situation that he finds himself in playing.
Highest paid player in history.
Yeah, man. And then of course CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Tolbert. Now this one I have highlighted because I think that the outside fan, the casual fan, doesn't think about him enough. But dude, Brandon Cooks is such a good football player when he's healthy. He's such a threat. And CeeDee Lamb he's such a good Robin to CeeDee Lamb's Batman. And so Brandon Cooks is another guy. Zeke Elliott, say what you will. And then, Rico Dowdell. But Jake Ferguson is another guy that Dak Prescott really likes. Sees as a security blanket and gets a lot of benefit, out of having him out there. So they've got weapons, man. Absolutely. Look, they've been able to produce in some games, early on in the season, have some numbers. Obviously, last game was rough, but I think week 1 CD went off, didn't he?
Yeah. Yep. You talking about CD?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't he go off in week 1?
CD goes off every game. To this point in the season, he's got 9 catches, 151 yards. He has 1 touchdown. It was a 65-yarder at that. That was last week. He's averaging 75 a game. Tolbert just behind him, 7 catches, 94 yards. Hasn't gotten in the end zone yet. Your boy Brandon Cooks, 6 catches, so thus far 59 yards and has a 21-yard touchdown grab. Jake Ferguson, you're right, was a stud last year. One of the very best tight ends in football, top 5 at that. He got hurt last week. It's kind of I think they're hoping and expecting to get him back out there this week, but last week, so this far he's only got 3 catches for 15 yards. But man, if he gets going, that could kind of unlock their offense. But Jimbo, they don't really have a run game like that. That's the thing I'm looking at. They got both backs averaging sub 4 yards per carry. Dowdle leads really, they have identical yards, both 56 yards. It's just Zeke has 1 more carry than him to get to 56 yards. Zeke has 1 touchdown. Rico has 0. Really, it's about Dak Prescott. It's the Dak Prescott show. They want to throw the ball. They're going to get the ball out of his hands to the pass catchers on this team, and they're not a really big threat running the ball. I'm sure they're going to work on it, but averaging 28 per game for each of them isn't really something that scares you. Now, their offense is definitely through Dak Prescott. He's got 2 touchdowns, 2 picks on the year. He's averaging 236 yards per game with an 81 quarterback rating. But it's clearly CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cook. Like, it's all about this pass game, Jimbo. It's all about these pass catchers against this Ravens defense that thus far, I mean, say what you want, but Gardner Minshew couldn't be stopped when we needed him to be stopped. Like, how worried are you when you saw what Gardner could do against us and Devontae Adams? What's your confidence looking like right now?
Yeah, I'm really trying to hold on to confidence.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know if I have any right now. I'm just in a prove it mode, right? Like, you need to get it done in the crucial moments. And I think I've said this a couple of years now, Glenn, but it just feels different on defense in comparison to the way it used to, where in big plays, big drives. I mean, how many times were we in close games against the Steelers, the Browns, the whoever, you name it, and they're driving down the field at the end of the game and our defense makes a stop?
Yep.
Right? One of our big names makes a stop. I just don't think we've seen any of that this year. Coach talked about it. I think you and I talked off air about it. Kyle Hamilton seems banged up. Coach thinks it's a shoulder. It's a shoulder issue he's got. And I know our defense is still developing in some positions, but we've got to get it done in big moments, Glenn. Big moments. I talked about game wreckers on the opposing defense we played against. We've got some game wreckers, but they need to be game wreckers.
Yeah.
Right? Not home wreckers, game wreckers.
That's right. Yeah. No,
well, there'll be a home wrecker at Dallas, right? Because, like, they're going to wreck the Dallas's home game. You like that?
Well, look, we do that routinely. Look, the Ravens' record against Dallas is pretty spectacular. And we know what Lamar's record is against the NFC in general. I think he has 1 loss still in his entire career. But we need Roquan to get back to being Roquan, right? Like, he's kind of had a couple of questionable games. I think last week it's fair to say, a bit of a down week. We need to get Oweh to continue what he started last week. 2.5 sacks, a quarter away to a masterful season and goal that would have you eating a Baconator live on this show. But most importantly, Kyle Hamilton has been a virtual no-show in 2 games. And I know that the injury issues that are, at least people are assuming because of the missed tackle in the open field that he made in his sleep last year. But either way, he's got to be better, man. He's got to make more plays. I need to hear his name called. Nnamdi Madubuike also, I think, needs to be a little bit more impactful. He's going up against a tough right guard in Martin this week, who's really gonna challenge him. But when you put Madubuike next to Travis frickin' Jones, who's just throwing people out the club this year, Jimbo, I don't care who it is. If it's Zach Martin or who in front of him, those two guys cannot be blocked. Our defensive line has to be dominant, Jimbo. They shouldn't have any running lanes. We got to be dominant as far as getting to the passer. Our front needs to take over this game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And it's something we've talked about before in that, like, we talked about how theoretically before the season started, the outside pass rush was not going to be the thoroughbreds that other teams have, especially within the division, but the inside guys need to get going. And I think that while the outside has looked good, it doesn't mean the inside guys can't or shouldn't, do their thing. But you talked about the guys up front. I want to talk about the back end of this defense because John and a lot of people spent a lot of time and energy talking about Brandon Stevens, talking about Marlon Humphrey, and talking about this secondary. We've spent a ton of money. This is funny to me, Glenn, because we keep and maybe it's before this, from like Earl Thomas days on, we keep over investing in the secondary. And I don't know if for a single season it's like paid off in spades and super handsomely, right? But we keep doing it. Not saying that they're bad, but my point is that we've spent so much more, I feel like, than other teams generally do in the secondary between draft picks and just, contracts, free agents, stuff like that. But this secondary needs to come ready to play because, Marlon Humphrey's going to be out there a lot with CeeDee Lamb. I'm sure Brandon Stevens will be out there as well. And we saw what Devontae Adams did last week. He kind of went off in the second half, had his touchdown, had some big plays. We can't let these things happen. We simply can't. That's my matchup and opportunity for the Ravens to make a difference in this game. If this secondary can have a good game, I think it's going to make life difficult for the Dallas Cowboys because you said it, Glenn. They don't have much of a running game. I mean, Zeke Elliott's been eating too much cereal. Just kind of is what it is. And, so they're going to look to their outside guys, their receivers to get the job done. And if our secondary can hold up, it's going to make life difficult.
Yeah, I think what Mel said in his rant on Get Up was what we need to see in this game. Let's see some two high safeties over the top, eliminating the chunk plays down the field, because there's no reason we should need to bring safeties down to help with the run game. Our defensive front should be able to easily make this team one-dimensional. There's just no excuse if they don't. Like, you shouldn't need to rely on Kyle Hamilton coming down the box. You shouldn't need that. Now, if you want to, of course, on occasion, you want to do some different looks, sure. But when it's guaranteed passing, especially third and long, don't give them anything over the top. Put a safety over CeeDee Lamb, please and thank you. Please and thank you. I don't want to see any scenarios where he's one-on-one against our outside corners who cannot seem to find the ball in the air. They just can't do it. I have no – even if Brandon Stevens, who I expect to be right there with CD, if he's matched up, he'll be right there. But can he find the damn ball and make any type of play on it? I have zero confidence. Same with Marlon Humphrey. He might be there, but can he get a hand on the ball? I'd rather just put a safety over the top and just take the guy away. Take CeeDee Lamb away. Make Jalen beat you. Make Brandon Cooks beat you. Someone else. But it better not be damn CeeDee Lamb for a 75-yard touchdown like he does against every other team. Not this team. Not against this secondary that spent all that damn money, and against this defensive front who can certainly get after the quarterback. Yeah, can't have it, Jimbo.
Nope, cannot have it, dude. I'm looking forward to this matchup, and I really hope that obviously it turns out in the Ravens' favor. But another sack for Odafe Owe for Baconator, right? Is his nickname now?
That's
in
right.
Dallas, the Baconator.
Yeah.
Dude, how awesome would it be if on camera, so like in the game, he sacks somebody and then he goes like this?
Dude, that'd be dope, bro.
That would be so awesome, right? If anybody has any contact with Odafe Owe, just flood social media and get him. You make that his new sack celebration. That would be amazing. Appreciate the love, Isaac. Isaac.
Yeah, and let's everyone. We'll take all the good juju we can get. Everyone root for Odafe Owe to continue on his march to making Jimmy have some serious intestinal issues. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. It's going to be hilarious. But my X factor.
It's the trifecta. Sorry, it's going to be meat, cheese, and bacon.
Yes, all the good stuff. Yep.
Ooh.
Oh, it's gonna be eventful. I can't wait to see it. But we
I'm
didn't
gonna have
even
a
talk
bottle of
about.
Tums next to me.
You better. We didn't give our X factor player yet on offense, but I'm gonna start with my
Yeah, we did.
defensive guy. Did you? I didn't.
No, you're right. My bad. No, we didn't
Yeah.
do. Yeah, sorry. So we'll do both right now. Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
start
so
with
I'm going to
defense.
start with defense. I got Kyle Hamilton making an impact in this game. I think
Oh.
he's going to get a sack in this game, and he's going to get a couple pass breakups.
Mhm.
We're going to see a return of Kyle Hamilton. I've seen him doing a lot of interviews. I think he's been hearing the noise about his game, about maybe being a little bit quiet in the first 2 weeks, and I think this week he reminds everyone that he's still an All-Pro.
I like that, Glenn. I like that X factor. I'm going with David Ajabo. The reason I'm going with David Ajabo is because KVN and Adafe Owe are doing their thing. And I think if David Ajabo can really come on and contribute a bit more, get to that quarterback a couple times, whether it's pressures or straight up sack, but if he can contribute a bit more, that really becomes a true three-headed monster. And look out as far as that unit goes. So yeah, I'm going with David Ajabo because I think the other two guys are going to get a ton of attention. Dafe's obviously coming off a great game, but let's not forget Kyle, I think, had 2 sacks himself in that game. A lot of attention is going to be put on those guys. If David Ajabo can find his spots and make an impact, I think that's a big deal as far as what the offense has to be concerned about. So I'm going with David Ajabo. Now, on the other side of the ball, my X factor offensively, we talked a lot about Derrick Henry. Glenn talked about the fact that Justice Hill is still out snapping Derrick Henry. I'll say this: I want Derrick Henry to get the lion's share of the plays, but I'm taking Justice Hill as an X factor because just as much as I talked about, Derrick Henry pounding on that defensive line, really wearing them out, I think that Justin Hill can have the same impact as on the other end of the spectrum where he's able to get a short pass, he's able to take a run and really gas these guys. Anything we can do to gas these guys up front, I think is going to be great for our offensive prospects in this game. And I think Justice Hill is an absolute dynamo with the ball in his hands, Glenn. I mean, if he gets it, he gets it. I mean, he is. That. He is. When he gets in space, I mean, Justice Hill, every time he gets a little screen pass, I'm like, dude, how many times does he break it and get the first down? It's just a gimme on third down and we're like giving up on the play, on the drive.
Yeah. No,
So I think if there's some opportunities to really highlight his open field ability, let's get him the ball, man. It's not just Zay, I guess is my point, that can make the guys miss in the open field. I think Justice Hill is just as good and a bit more physical, just that he's a bigger dude and a running back by nature, right? So get him the ball is what I say. I think he could be a good X factor in this game.
And kind of to your point, you talk about with the ball in his hand, I think maybe our best yak guy on the team right now is Isaiah Likely. I love to see Isaiah Likely with the ball in his hands. I'm hopeful that this is the first week where we can kind of see a little bit of both Mark Andrews and Isaiah eating a little bit. Let's see some 2 tight end sets. Let's watch these guys get lost in the front 7 and then squeak out on a play action where they're just running butt naked across the field. That's what I want to see more of. Let's get their offensive line moving the defensive line of the Cowboys, open up some run lanes, and then play action pass to get Isaiah Likely the ball in space. I think he is fantastic as a receiver and as a ball carrier. Man, I don't think we've seen enough of Isaiah with the ball, but dude, no DB wants to tackle Isaiah Likely, and there's not many linebackers that can run with him.
No, his little Lamar stop and whoop, and the guy goes past him. He has to have learned that from Lamar on Vine. Lamar was like one of the first guys to go. Remember Vine, guys? He went like viral on Vine back in the day. That video that everyone's on Twitter now when he was in high school.
Oh, high school, yep.
Yeah, that was a Vine video. If you guys can believe
that Vine?
That. Yeah. Which is just like died, and
quick. YouTube Shorts and all that just destroyed Vine.
We used to make funny Vines when we were selling DirecTV door to door of just like stupid stuff we would see at people's houses. Just like the most random stuff in like hillbilly middle of nowhere. Just great stuff. But yeah, that was dead and gone. But yeah, no. So I like your X factor a lot. The only thing so this is the last thing I'll say about that. To me, the way that you this is really simple, like rudimentary. But look, if I'm Mark, I'm like, dude, give Isaiah all you want between the 20s, but when we get down the red zone, you call me up. Like I'm gonna get the job done in the red zone. I think that in those types of moments are really how you can, not that Isaiah can't get done in the red zone, but you can find ways to balance out their workload and have them both feel like they're having an impact on the game. And they're rooting for one another. It's not like there's any animosity there, but that's the way I see it now, man. If I'm Mark, look, Isaiah, let him do his thing. Let him stretch the field. He's super athletic. Let him get out there, get him the ball. You don't need to force feed me. You don't need to worry about my feelings. We get in that red zone. You know, Lamar and I have a historic level connection. Just give me the ball. That's all I'm saying.
To me. Yep.
You know? Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's move on here, Glenn. I think that that's our preview as far as the show or as far as the game goes. And just in case you were unaware, the game's on Sunday at 4:25 Eastern, not Monday. Yeah. All that being said, though, the last segment of the show is our competition. If you guys are new to the show, we have a weekly competition, and you guys can participate. We do it internally, but we also open it up to all those that are viewing or listening to the show. You can submit your answers on any social media platform that we are on, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, or here on YouTube in a comment in this video after this video is done going live. Not a chat, but a comment. It is an over-under competition that we will get to right now. The winner gets some swag sent to their house from us. So let's get into it, DK. Nice. I love it. DK, if we get another rev share notification because of that video, I'm going to lose my mind. That's awesome. Nice work, DK. All right, let's do this. By the way, Glenn, you won last week.
Did I?
You did.
Of course I did.
Oh, gosh. Here we go. Who won week 1?
I don't remember. I can't
DK
remember.
won week 1. Man, I'm like the Ravens, dude. I'm still not on the board, bro. The heck? All right, let's do this thing.
All right, let's get into it.
All right, Glenn, go ahead.
All right, so first one, offensive over-unders. Rashad Bateman receptions. DK sets it at 2.5. What do you think, Jimbo?
Under.
Damn, that was quick.
Yeah, under. Under. What about you?
No thoughts. I'm going to say over. He's got 5 on the year. I think he gets 3. I think he gets 3 and maybe even more. Look, they're going to start paying all that attention to Zay. Someone else on the outside's got to make some plays. He's going to have single coverage. Get open and make the damn play, Rashad. Don't bounce it off your hands into the waiting arms of the defender this week.
Yeah, well, we just talked about how important it is to run the ball this game. So 11 receptions for the Saints. I don't think 3 of those would have gone to Bateman.
Hey, 11, 3's not bad. That's 8 left for the rest of the guys.
I think Lamar needs to complete 30 passes for 3 to go to Rashad Bateman.
He's got 5 already. He's averaging 2.5 as it is.
I'm just telling you how I think Lamar feels.
I'm just saying we need 1/2 of a reception more than his current average. It's not like I'm asking for the moon here, Jimbo. Yeah, anyway. All right. 2.5. I say over. Number 2, Ravens receiving long. So their longest reception of the day. Is it going to be more or less than 37.5 yards, Jimmy?
And just a clarifying question. I think this goes without saying, but just to make sure, DK, doesn't matter the position, right? Okay, so I went over, but I don't think it's going to be a wide receiver because somehow Zay we only throw the ball to in like negative 2-yard situations. So I think this is over, and I think it's Isaiah Likely.
Oh, I hope you're right. I'm going to say under just because I haven't seen it. I need to see it. I need to see the big play before I say over. If I had to bet though, I'm going to say it's Rashad Bateman.
Oh,
my guy.
That's the hill you're going to die on?
My guy. That's right. He's going to have single coverage, dude. Like they're going to have to worry way more about the tight ends and about Zay. If there's no other time, then why not now? Why not now? There's no other better time.
Glenn, he's gonna not get a pass in the first quarter, shrug his shoulders, and be done for the rest of the game.
Be sulking on the sideline.
Dude, you're better off going Tylan Wallace. Anyway, All right, that's fair enough. Let's go to the next one, DK.
All right, Cowboys receiving long, also set at 37.5. What do you think, Jimbo?
Yeah. Oh, wait. Let me double check, make sure what I put here. I think I know what I put here, but let me. Yeah. Okay, good. So I went under. I know this is crazy because we just talked about how good the receivers are. I'm just riding with my guys that it's a bounce back game for the secondary.
Well, I hope you're right. I'm going to say over. And here's why. I think they are going to be in a ton of long third down situations. And I think eventually they're going to hit a 40-yard pass. It's going to lead to
broken
no
tackle
points.
too. It could be right. That's fair.
I don't think it's going to necessarily lead to points, but I do think they sneak a 40-yarder in there. So I say over.
Yeah, this one was a tough one for me. And so I get both ways.
DK says over as well.
Yeah, makes sense.
Hey, smart. Agree with me. Never be wrong.
Never, ever be wrong.
Ravens pass defense. So pass breakups. Do they have more or less than 3.5 PBUs, Jimbo?
Yeah, so I'm going over simply based on the fact that I think Dak's going to throw the ball 60,000 times. Right? Like he's just going to throw it so many times that I think it's just going to give the Ravens plenty of opportunities to get their hands on the ball. Not that, so that, their absence of a run game is the reason I think this number is going to be high.
Let's see. Right now, as a team, we have 7. I see where he got the 3.5 from. I see where he may have gotten this 3.5 from. I'm going to say under, even though I tend to agree they're going to throw it a lot more than they run it. Man, I got to see it to believe it. Shout out to the kind words. Lisa put a nice comment about DK's most recent post, his musings on the post itself. And I remember seeing it. So appreciate the kind words, Lisa. But DK's doing a good job. And I know Lisa was able to recognize that. So I appreciate it. But I say under, you say over. So does DK. You're both wrong. I'll be right. Let's move on. All right, Jimbo. First tiebreaker, over under. Total is 47.5. What do you think?
Look, I just talked about how I don't have a ton of confidence in the Ravens, but I can only get so much purple out of my blood. Right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going over, and I'm predicting that the Ravens win. I'm going 30-27, which if my math is right, that's 57 points, significantly over this. But I'm going, Ravens win 30-27. On a plus 50-yard field goal from Jay Tuck.
Damn. Now that would be dope. I'm really rooting for you to be right. I'm going to say under. I think the Ravens win, but 27-20 is my final score. So barely going under, but under nonetheless. I just have a hard time of even this number. I feel like I might be still selling us too high because until I see our offense get some sort of rhythm, it's hard for me to really buy into it. But the Cowboys are lacking in rhythm as well. So I think both teams coming in with some struggling offenses. My last question to you, because we're both picking them to win. We talk on this show, and we don't like to. We're not conspiracy theorists. But I don't think conspiracy theorists are necessarily wrong on 100% of their thoughts. I think they're probably batting a low percentage, but they're getting something. When we talk about the Chiefs and how the NFL – some people think that the NFL wants the Chiefs to win. Any chance that the NFL doesn't want the Cowboys to be 0-3 when they have the largest 1-2 with 2 losses at home, when they have the largest nationwide fan base? Is there anything to keeping the Cowboys relevant, or am I crazy here, Jimbo?
Well, I think 1-2 in the NFC least, they're still relevant. And it makes a more compelling story if there's more of a comeback. So, the thing is that the Cowboys fans are faithful. They're going to watch the games anyway. I understand your point, but I think the second half surge of the Cowboys is a really compelling story. So let's get them now. Is the way I see it. If you're going across, if you're sticking to that idea of, what, to your point, not conspiracy theorists, but people will believe certain things. The NFL wants to create narratives. I think the second half surge of the Cowboys, and you want to see those Eagles-Cowboys games late mean something, things like that. Let them drop a couple early.
That's a good point. And I think Oreo Cookie makes a good point in the chat as well, that they'll probably always be relevant. And actually, an 0-17 Cowboys team might get more talk and actually be more popular in those talk shows than a successful one. So it's a good point.
Yep, I agree 100%.
All right, let's see the total yards closest to the pin. I say 375, Jimbo, because I do think the Ravens, and maybe this is just my optimism talking, I do think that this team will limit the possessions, run the ball, have those long kind of classic Greg Roman possessions where you hold the ball for 8 to 10 minutes and shorten the amount of possessions for this game. So 375 in a win is my prediction.
Now I'm going 400. And I'm going 400 because we're leading the league in yards, and I don't think that's going to change. The Ravens are going to get some yards.
Yeah.
They did it in week 1. They did it in week 2. I just think 400 is par for the course, whether we win or lose.
Our average? Okay. All right.
What's our average right now?
I think it's somewhere around that, isn't it? Let me see.
Because I know we were over 400 in week 1. We were like 455, right? Or something like that. And week 2, I think we were just under.
Yeah. Team. Let's see. So total yards. I might not find it. Here we go. Total yards, they're at 856. So what's that? 428 is their average.
Yeah.
Look at that quick math. Bob Pierney. You still in the chat?
Hey.
Quick math. By the way, Jimbo, my son's in 5th grade. I'm already Googling his math questions.
Oh no, are you using AI for help?
Dude, and they nail it. They're helping me. And let me tell you, stuff is tough, bro. Like,
dude, I don't know if you've ever heard of this before. I'm gonna give you some wisdom.
Right.
Academy, KHAN Academy. Check it out. It's the best math videos anybody from a 1st grader to a mathematics major in college can watch. Excellent.
What is it on YouTube?
Well, it's free. He's got a website. I'm sure he's got a ton of YouTube videos too, but everything's free. Khan Academy. Dude, it's the only reason I passed my math classes in college. Like, I learned nothing in.
Is he still doing this? Have you checked?
Yeah. The still, his website is ongoing. It's only gotten bigger, but check it out.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna need to call Bob Pierney over next year for sure.
Yeah. No, definitely. Dude, but I will say this though, I've fallen asleep in my fair share of Khan Academy videos though.
Oh, does he have one of those? Is it a good voice? At least
it's not a great voice, not a compelling. I mean, the videos are okay, but it's math. Like, it's just not.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
yeah.
But they're good. So check it out. But yeah, cool. It's tough, dude. It's tough, bro.
Be right. Hey, it's around the corner for you, bro. Don't. It's not easy.
No.
And they teach it all different too. So, and you have to show the work in the way they're teaching it. So then you have to look up how they're teaching it, learn it yourself, so you can then teach it the way they're being taught now, because it's different.
Sounds like fun, dude.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. But speaking of fun, this weekend is going to be an absolute blast. We'll be back here for our post-game show, and what might be fair to say to call a must-win game for the Ravens, and maybe to some degree for the Cowboys. Big game this weekend. Be here with us, or be square. 7:30, 8 o'clock. We will be here. Make sure you're here as well.
Glenn, we haven't done it yet.